Between the two of them.
The inside of Coates.
Parker gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Academy Clio Cup finale here at the wonderful Cadwell Park. We've had a few finales now in the Academy and all of them have been at Cadwell Park, but this is set up to be one of the best, it's safe to say. My name is Jack Oliphant and I'm a little bit nasally, apologies if you hear me sneezing throughout the night. Dave Marshall is alongside me as per usual in the virtual commentary box. Dave, how the devil are you?
Yeah, doing very well, thank you, Jack. And as he said, yes, Cadwell Park tonight, a track with a lot of gradient and classed England's mini Nürburgring, so a brilliant track, really look forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody out there is wondering, or if you just tuned in right at the end of all the Academy streams and you're wondering what on earth is the format, well, you can see it in front of you. Practice for 60 minutes, qualifying for 15, and then into 2 races. Both races are 20 minutes, but the second race is a reverse grid. And now we're going to shoot through all the sort of beginning bits of the explaining what's going on, because obviously we want to get into the action a little bit as well. So last time out at Thuxton, you can see that Nicky Taylor took the most amount of points, ahead of Robin Walters in second place and Brad Smith in third. Brad Smith was actually given the driver of the round, though, last Wednesday. Of course, nobody actually gets anything for driver of the round. It's just sort of personal pride and to give them a well done from us. Championship then, looking in front of you, Dave, it's Nicky Taylor on top by a fair few points, but Carl Felvus and Robin Walters, they've still got a shot at it, haven't they? And they're quite close to each other for second place.
It's going to be a long straw. Nicky, I've got to admit, in free practice is looking very, very quick indeed. But the battle between Kyle and Robin, this reverse grid race, 8 points in it, that is the battle to really watch. Nicky Taylor, a bit of an outsider chance for second and third place, guys. But I tell you what, that second and third place battle is going to be frantic.
It is indeed, yeah. And of course, there are prizes to be won. And the prizes are won tonight as well. Because obviously, this is the finale. AOC Gaming headset and 2 hours of one-to-one online coaching are the first place prize. And actually, I've been using the AOC Gaming headphones for a fair few weeks now. And to be honest, I hardly feel them when I take them off. It's absolutely brilliant. Very comfortable pieces of kit. Second place, PowerMax car valeting kit and 1 hour one-to-one online coaching. And then third place is based all around driver improvement. A 1 hour one-to-one coaching session plus a 1 hour race car setup coaching as well to teach you how to get the most out of your car when you go into sort of more open-end setup, open setup championships, which of course this isn't because it's an academy, so it's sort of based around people trying to learn. But once you get into a bigger championships, of course, you might want to get a little bit more out of the car. So that is very, very important. And I don't think there's too many things left to talk about here, Dave. I think we're going to go straight into the hot lap at Cadwell Park in the Clio Cup.
So here we are, the last round of the Academy Clio Cup powered by VRRC. Cadwell Park, a ridiculously hard track located in England, the mini Nürburgring Forest, fantastic, completely flat through turn 1, fifth gear, and then trying to take quite a bit of entry curve here into the right-hander and the super blind apex. That is absolutely crucial to get the best run possible onto this back straight. This is probably the place to put an overtake around Cadwell Park, so make your job easy, open that corner up, get the good power down and make the pass going into this right-hander up here. Park corner, try not to catch that inside curve. If you hit that, it bobbles the car and really pushes you wide onto the grass and then down towards the gooseneck. Really, really tricky set of corners, especially when trying to carry some serious speed. I catch inside of this curve, which just straightens me up enough to get a good run through there in fourth gear, and then braking earlier than you think for the left-hander downhill and getting that early apex and getting the super drive out of there on the exit. Now into turns 11 and 12. You can't brake as late as you think because you want to hold a tight line here towards the inside that opens up the hill, and that's absolutely crucial. So you just clipped the limiter there a little bit as we went over the crest and then through the whole bend. Brilliant section of track. You can see we're going to catch a lot of air here and getting on the brakes super hard down to first gear, getting the car stopped and then head towards the second last corner. Just a little short shift into third there and then back down to second to get the acceleration and then towards the finish line. make sure you tune in at 7:15 on VRRC's Facebook and YouTube page on Wednesday night.
We are finished with the hot lap, and we can see that qualifying has been going on for a fair old while, about 10 minutes now actually, so the times you see on the left hand side are relatively representative. Nicky Taylor pushing in strong with the 37.5. Carl Felvus 2 tenths off at the moment, with Robin Walters in third place, and of course we're having to pretty much talk about championship for the entirety of tonight. But if Nicky Taylor is putting in lap times like this, Dave, and he translates it to the race, well, we might not be talking about it in that much of a surprise. We may well be seeing a champion be crowned pretty much after race 1.
Yeah, so this is sort of what I was touching upon a bit at the start. Nicky Taylor is looking mighty quick, and particularly through this sector from now where Robin is. So actually Robin there going very wide out the little right left, that's the end of sector 1. But from this moment on, going up through the mountain section, through the tight twisties at the top, that's the sector where Nicky seems he's got a real edge on just about everyone on the grid. The thing is, I reckon tonight, you've got the likes of Kyle, Robin Walters. We might have to see a little bit of a different style from Robin that we've seen from other races. He's a little bit more laid back, especially on the race start, allows a little bit more patience and not quite as defensive. But tonight, if Robin really wants a chance of a win or taking that second place away from Kyle Felvus, we might need to see a little bit more aggression.
Carl Felvus, is worth noting as well, been very sharp off the start, hasn't he? Off the line, he's managed to hook up in pretty much whatever car he's been in, but particularly these Clio Cups. So even if Nicky is a fair old way ahead in terms of lap time and qualifying, as long as Carl is starting alongside him, he can't rest on his laurels too much.
That is very true. We know Kyle is a very, very quick starter. Actually, Kyle almost doing exactly the same line as Robin Walters there. I'm sure we can jump on board with one of the cars next time through. It is an incredibly difficult section through there. Very, very blind, and the car gets pitched left, gets pitched right, and it really unbalances the car. So for all it looks like they're just carrying too much speed in, all that can be is the slight wrong hop in the car, and the car just doesn't get turning. So you can see Robin here into the right. He wants to get inside of this curb on the right, not quite enough there, I would say, and then open up this left. That was about bang on, just a little bit more on entry could have been gained there, and then super hard braking area down that left-hander downhill, and you've got to get on the brakes super early to get turned in to that apex. Very, very easy to run wide there indeed and lose a lot of time. A very difficult, very technical track, and I think it's really shown which drivers just have the car a little bit on its toes, a little bit more rotation, and has just found a little bit more potential out of that car.
Yeah, but it is a fixed, well, semi-fixed setup, isn't it, really, Dave? Where you don't have, they don't have too much play in, say, suspension or anything like that. But basically, if you were a driver sat in the racing seat of the real-life Clio Cup car, you can change things like brake bias and things like that. That's the only things that these guys can touch, even when they're practicing or setting up in the week. Yeah,
exactly that. So the whole idea is the majority of the championships that we run it in this way. You can change anything you'd be able to change that you can in real life sat in the cockpit of the car. So you can change brake bias, you can change brake power, you can also change ABS, traction control. Other than that, there's not many other bits of adjustment, but you'll tell the drivers that are really playing around with these things, because if you run that brake bias really far back, really helps with that rotation, gives less workload for them front wheels to do, but it makes the car really leery, as we see Kenny Press. Well, actually, we see Kenny Press underneath of the car, actually, going towards that second to last corner, that right-hander. That's one of them areas that I tell you what, if a driver ends up a little bit too committed over there with a driver too close in front, it can be a real sketchy moment going into there when there's no wheels on the floor and you're trying to get that car braked.
Yeah, it looked like he was being inspired by the native bike racers there, trying to go on 2 wheels for half of it, wasn't it? It was quite sensational. Performing quite a miraculous jump there, Kenny Press, who obviously doesn't need to tweak his car to get the most exciting out of it. We quite often see Kenny. really pushing his car always to the limit. Here is Nicky Taylor, a green sector 1 for him, so he could be seeing an improvement. If anything, here in the final minute, I think we've had a little bit of a crash for Paul Laramie on the penultimate corner, but Nicky Taylor comes across the line. It's not an improvement.
Slightly quicker, yeah.
It is slightly quicker, actually. You're right. It's a 37.5 still, but a 5.16 this time round. So Carl Felvus not able to improve at all. He'll have to try and go really quickly on this final lap. Robin Walters, I think, is off in the penultimate corner as well. In fact, there he is, Robin Walters. Not the end to qualifying he was hoping for, and by the looks of it, his car's too damaged to even get it round to start another flying lap. So Robin Walters not starting this evening how he would hope to go on.
No, and actually he's in the gravel trap. I believe that's actually with another car. So I think...
Paul Laramie, I think.
We're seeing the background there somewhere. There's Paul Laramie, who appears to be just behind him somewhere in that gravel trap. Not quite sure whereabouts he is. It does say he's in there somewhere. But anyway, yeah, so a very difficult scenario there. Maybe I'm only guessing that might have been a car getting a little bit wide on the grass and maybe a slight collision with the other car. Nothing coming up on the server, but we can only speculate. Kyle Felvus with a little spin there, just running it a little wide through the left, and you can see the back end just caught that grass, and there's nothing you can do. Just stop. He just carried on rotating, and actually that there was Paul Laramie's car tucked in behind one of the Marshall's cars. So there he is there, actually parked next to the recovery truck, which is quite ironic there. Nicky Taylor coming towards the end of his lap at the moment. Oh, running very wide, but it's not hooked up first or second set, so he'll pull that back in the pits, knowing that that's good enough for Paul.
Yeah, Adrian Felvus in the YouTube chat says, "Evening, Jack and Dave. Good evening to yourself, Adrian." And really hoping that Carl obviously puts on a decent show, but at the moment, Nicky Taylor is putting on a show for everybody to try and catch, isn't he? He's not really been troubled at all as we're having a look at Simon Thorpe. Maybe one of the few drivers that could potentially improve his time, but I don't think he's going to be able to. It is a quick third sector. I don't think it was quicker anywhere else, though. Paul Laramie, the final driver, waiting to cross the line, but of course we've seen him parked over the penultimate corner in next to the recovery truck and doesn't seem to be able to spawn back to the pits. Robin Walters has finally gone back to the pits, but whilst we worry about those drivers who are stuck in the tyre trap, in the gravel trap, we will have a chat to our pole position man.
We will indeed. We'll go down to Nicky Taylor, provisional P1, just as qualifying's coming to a finish, but I think it's almost in the bag. P1 in qualifying. We had you marked down as probably the driver who's got the slight upper hand when coming to this track. Just seemed to have a little knack with this track and this car, and has just managed to get a little bit more out of that second sector than anyone else. A 37.5 up there with one of the fastest times you've done. You've got to be fair happy with that performance.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the lap was a bit ragged. It weren't one of my cleanest laps for sure. I screwed up a bit coming through the last sector and then got on the grass on the first entry into the second corner. So, yeah, nothing for track limits would be aware at all because it was only 2 wheels on the grass. But, yeah, could have gone quicker, could have done a 3. It was on, but so close yet so far. And I think, to be fair, P2 and race 1 will do me because I know Carl's going to get a lightning start and he's starting on the better, arguably I would say the better place of Cadwell on the outside of P2. So yeah. Just going to see how it goes. But at the end of the day, I know I've got 4 points and then I'm effectively champion if I finish 4 points ahead of Kyle in this race. So just keep it on the track, keep it clean, and we should be there.
Yeah, I mean, the bit I was going to say I always struggle with a bit with Cadwell Park. It's one of them tracks, especially when you're hot lapping, you know what it's like. You get in a flow of the track. It sort of lends itself to opening certain corners to give you a run into the next one. Are you thinking that in a racing scenario when the car might be slightly out of position or you might be under pressure from another driver, is this one of the harder tracks of the season and maybe, you know, keep the flow of the track and keep that momentum of you know, good flow essentially?
Normally I would say yes for a track like this, but I don't know what it is. I just gel this circuit so I can pretty much put a lap together even if it's going into Narnia in the grass. So my consistency around here is pretty good. I've done a few races offline yesterday, which obviously no ABS, which does actually help my racecraft, to be fair. I was doing 38.5s with no ABS, so yeah, I think and in practice I was doing 37.7s consistently, so if we can just keep it on the road and hopefully eke out a little bit of a gap. The toe ain't massive around here, so just see how it goes.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing how you get on. Huge congratulations, Nicky, for putting it P1 in qualifying here, and good luck going into race 1.
Thank you very much, guys.
And that was Dave Marshall having a chat to our championship leader and pole position man, Nicky Taylor. And before we see how he gets on in race number 1, we're going to have a quick look at what our sponsors have to say.
At SmartFi, we do things differently. It starts with our 100% buyback guarantee. When you buy SmartFi token on the Smart Portal and hold it for a year or more, we'll buy back your token at the price you paid for any reason under the sun. You can borrow cash with our collateralized crypto loans or earn up to 13% interest on your holdings. SmartFi unleashes the true potential of cryptocurrencies, and there are so many reasons now more than ever to get involved. Join us today at smartfi.com. Grow your wealth and secure your future with simple, smart, and safe finance.
And we're back in the room. We've got a minute and a half to go before the start of race number 1 here at the finale at Cadwell Park. Of course, Dave, this is the 4th finale here in the Academy that we've had at Cadwell Park. All 4 seasons of the all 4 championships in the Academy have been run on the same calendar, and this is the final one of the lot.
Yeah, and I would probably argue, probably the best car for the scenario. MX-5's, you know, similar sort of power of car, but a little bit more unstable with it being rear-wheel drive. The Formula cars were always going to be difficult around a track like this, and then moved to the TTs, which were really quite a big car for Cadwell Park. So these Clios, lightweight, nimble, front-wheel drive, provide the best racing that we've seen, and one of the most difficult tracks. This has got to be one of the best combos for Cadwell Park. You can see Nicky Taylor there starting ahead of Kyle Felvus on the front row, but on the right side. So obviously going out of turn 1, he goes into the corner on the inside. If Kyle gets a good start or an even start, he'll brave that round the outside, but then obviously turn 2 is a long double right-hander, and this is what Nicky's worried about. If Robin Walters can follow Kyle Felvus through here, this could be dangerous for Taylor.
Yeah, but of course we don't have that long to actually think about that, because we're about to see it in front of our eyes as the engine notes rise and the lights are coming on. And for the first time here at Cadwell Park, we are racing here in the Academy Clio Cup, and it's a good start by the looks of it, an aggressive manoeuvre anyway by Robin Walters. Carl Felvus has got his trademark decent move as he flashes the light ahead of, just behind Nicky Taylor, who's going to hold the inside for now. Felvus not able to fly around the outside, but he's going to try and go for the cutback towards the outside this time. Gives it a little bit of a love tap with Brad Smith hunkered up the backside of Robin Walters. Of course, Robin, after securing that 3rd place, ending in the gravel, will be hoping to push forward, but Brad Smith isn't interested in letting him doing such a thing. Nicky Taylor getting a gap already from Kyle, who couldn't activate his flying start and turn it into a race lead. You got to fear maybe that Nicky Taylor will be seeing a championship already if he survives this lap 1, which Kenny Bress and Paul Laramie don't seem to have been able to achieve.
Yeah, so we're not quite sure what happened there. Just a little collision out the back of the track. A very, very fast section into a slow. And this might be a mistake by Nicky Taylor, running slightly wide. That will be gravel on the tyres. And you can see Felvus there with a little bit better grip through the corner. But Nicky's done well to hang on to the back of that. Luckily enough, Robin Walters is still on the back of these front 2 at the moment early on this race. So this race is still very, very much on between these front 3. Felvus here is just going to want to keep a little bit of this consistent pressure on Taylor, seeing whether there's any cracks or any openings that he can get himself. See Nicky Taylor just getting the car slowed down, but this is great pressure at the moment by Felvus. Robin Walters also looks like he's got good pace in the car.
Yeah, so Tom on the broadcast has actually worked out that realistically, Nicky Taylor, even if he finishes last here, which tonight is 10th position, Carl Felvus will still need to finish 3rd or higher for Nicky Taylor not to win this in the first race. So if it stays like this, there's no way back for Carl, unfortunately, or, of course, Robin Walters. Nicky will have just taken his dominance all through the season and then converted it into a championship, which sometimes, Dave, you can't really argue with it, can you?
You can't. And this is exactly why, obviously, the whole academy process is trying to get drivers through the sim grid, get them a little bit quicker and quicker and move them up in the championships. And both Nicky Taylor, Kyle Felvus and Robin Walters are all being promoted into the gold class in the following championship. So all 3 drivers proving themselves very, very quick indeed in their categories. And I tell you what, I think it's already proven, especially in the Super Touring, these drivers can definitely mix it with the front runners.
Yeah, speaking of the Super Touring, it's probably worth at some point today mentioning the fact that obviously we weren't racing yesterday, Dave, and that's because of storm, whatever we're on now. So it's unfortunate, but we didn't want to risk any power cuts. We didn't want to risk anybody not being able to take part, or especially us not being able to broadcast it, to be honest, or run the servers. So, yeah, that is the explanation as why we weren't running yesterday with the storms are brewing. But, Carl Felvus with the snap of rear oversteer as he went through the midsection of the corner. Luckily jumped the circuit right at the correct place. But Brad Smith hasn't in the background. We saw him get a bit leery over the jump. But unfortunately, it's not ended as well for him as it did for Carl Felvus. But just finishing up on that Super Touring chat, we will still have the remaining rounds. They'll just be pushed back an extra week.
Yeah, they will indeed. So Tom O'Farrell, who does a fantastic job with the broadcast, is based on the west coast of Scotland on a little
middle of
island.
Absolutely nowhere.
And I tell you what, it must have been brutal for him last night in the storm. It was pretty bad here in the northeast of England as well. I know there's quite a lot of houses with power out, so it just wasn't worth the chance of risking a stream go down halfway through the night and then having to rerun it anyway. So pre-organise it another week, and we'll have to delay the anticipation an extra week.
We will indeed. So just going back to that incident we saw before, Kyle seemed to get that snap of that oversteer from the rear end, which is somewhat slightly common in these Clio cars. But Brad Smith got it an awful lot worse, didn't he? Unfortunately, ended up careering into that tyre barrier, which with those massive curbs and with that sort of massive elevation change, you do get some air if you hit this, if you hit it right, but not as much as Brad wanted to. That.
Yeah, not too much of the inside, cutting across the grass, and just absolutely sending the car. But what I would imagine was it was actually a little bit of left hand down while on the brakes as he landed, and that's what snapped the car. If you're not committed over the jump and land on throttle with your steering wheel straight, see Felvus get very sideways. That was very rally-esque, that wasn't it? Almost a little Scandinavian flick into the second to last corner. I like that a lot. Very nice driving there, Kyle. But yeah, I reckon here Felvus is looking a little bit on the edge. Robin Walters is looking comfortable, I would say. So whether or not Robin's got a little bit more left in the tank here, he was 0.3 faster than Kyle Felvus on the previous lap. Brad Smith here with not much distance at all between him and the backer, John Jones. John Jones is going to give him a little squeeze going down towards turn 1. That was maybe a little bit tight there, but I tell you what, it's held him off. And here we go. Robin Walters obviously had the run through turn 1 on the outside, and Kyle Felvus can't do anything here other than to give the place really very committed drive there, just trying to hold his nose slightly there up the inside of Robin Walters, but Robin Walters through indeed up into second place. Sure, Tom O'Farrell will do the maths here to work out what points crawl that's back, but remember, Kyle Felvus was 8 points ahead of Robin Walters going into this race. This is going to be a hell of a battle for second and third place in this championship.
Well, that's the thing. I was looking at the trying to think of the prizes, to be honest, for second and third place, and obviously third place is a couple of hours coaching, 1 hour being just general 1-to-1. That's a huge snap by Carl Felvus, and that's not going to help him at all. But yeah, third place being 1 hour race car setup, 1 hour of online 1-to-1 coaching as well, so 2 hours in total. Whereas in second place, you obviously get that 1 hour 1-to-1 coaching, plus that Power Max valeting kit as well. And to be honest, at this time of year, that's a potential Christmas present that I know Carl is already using, but you never know, he might have an uncle that needs one, or an aunt or something like that. So yeah, it's one of those sort of things that you sort of, they're both very good prizes in their own right, but if you want something physical, then you want to be getting into second place, don't you?
Yeah, I'll be truly honest, I want one.
Yeah, exactly, I know.
I could really do one at the moment. But yeah, so Kyle Felvus has already won one through Driver of the Day of, I believe it was Super Touring, I believe he got a Driver of the Day for. So fair play, Kyle, just showing how possible it is for academy drivers to really show their hand in the other championships that we offer. So brilliant job there by Kyle. Looking maybe a little bit ragged here, trying to stay on the back of Robin. I think, points in my head, I think this means that Kyle Felvus is going to drop 3 points to Robin Walters. So this is looking very close with a 5-point gap at the moment going towards into the reverse grid race 2, which at Cadwell Park is going to be really, really difficult. And to be fair, I don't think we'll really gauge it until we see race 2 start to develop.
Well, that's the thing. Realistically, we've already seen both Kyle and Nicky Taylor making rather large mistakes, and the drivers behind them not being able to take advantage of those mistakes. Albeit, we have only seen Nicky Taylor make one mistake, but there's still normally, on most of the tracks or a bit wider tracks, you would see it being punished. And because we haven't seen it being punished, Kyle Felvus has ended up down to third because he was pushing everything at it and just couldn't seem to make the gap appear.
Yeah, so maybe that was a case of he was thinking more about staying on the back of Nicky Taylor, trying to get past him and really fighting for the championship. Whereas actually what he's done is he's maybe cost himself actually a chance of having a good solid second place finish, and that's now why we're seeing him battle as hard as he is. What a fantastic move round the outside of turn 1. That was very brave stuff from the youngster there on Robin Walters. This is where we might need to see a little bit of a different side of Robin. He needs to have a little bit more of that aggression, especially in the defending areas. He made that a little bit easy for Kyle on entry there to turn 1. And this is where we're going to have to see him really turn the heat back up and possibly try an aggressive move to get back past him.
Yeah, so the Tom O'Farrell in our broadcast chat did actually do the maths, and as he sent it, Kyle Felvus sent it as well around the outside.
Did, yeah.
So it's quite ironic. Unfortunately, Tom was a little bit annoyed by that, and to be honest, he just put in the new maths as well, and I suppose it doesn't matter now. He's done both of the types of maths now, so it's okay. But Nicky Taylor will have 195 points, obviously extending his championship lead. And right now, with Kyle Felvus in second place, Felvus have 175, and that'll be 10 points ahead of Robin Walters, with obviously only one race to go. And obviously, though, that's a full reverse grid, because normally it's only a top 10 reverse grid, but there are only 10 drivers here today, Dave, meaning that we will have a full reverse grid. Yeah,
exactly that. So this, as I said, this is not done and dusted at all. This is going to go down to race 2, but knowing Cadwell Park, it's too hard to call what the race start's going to be like. It's very, very cramped. All it takes is a little collision here or there, or the slowdown of the pack, and the cars behind literally have nowhere to go. I can't remember the amount of 750 Motor Club or the amount of club races that happen at Cadwell Park. And the pile-ups, I mean, Jack, you must know yourself, some of them have been absolutely horrendous and been a red flag and a complete restart, if not once, twice.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen YouTube clips and everything like that, but obviously I've never actually visited Cadwell Park. It's one of my few, but one of the few sort of black spots for me in my book. It just doesn't ever seem to appear on my calendar, so I've never made the trip there. It's the same as Anglesey, which is quite a popular track as well for this similar style of racing, a sort of slightly lower end racing or bike racing. And yeah, it's just never popped up for me, to be honest. I would like to go to Cadwell one day, hopefully one day. Maybe a commentary gig would be enjoyable. But yeah, it's a great looking circuit. But as I said, the only time I've ever actually seen it, or the first time I'd seen it, is probably a better way of phrasing it, was actually in the TT final. I remember logging on and thinking, right, where are we going today for the Audi TT final in the academy about 3 months ago? And he said, oh, it's at Cadwell. And I sort of went, oh, damn, I know nothing about Cadwell Park. Paul Lamy goes past Brad Smith, who decided that he wanted to invent a new track here at Cadwell. Not going quite the way for Brad Smith. He was driver of the round last time. It has, safe to say, race 1, he's not retaining that title.
No, he's definitely got the speed in the car, though, which is interesting to see. So he's got good speed in the car, sat currently P10, which is going to be reverse grid pole. So actually, I'm going to put my money on the table now. Brad, possibly race 2 winner. If not, if he has too many moments like that there, though. That was a bit leery, that Brad. Dial that back a little bit. We don't see you go in the barriers again. But yeah, he's got good pace in the car. Reverse grid race. He could really have the potential here to get a good, solid race 2 result. And I was going to quickly say there, Jack, when you were talking about Cadwell, you've never been, and you might end up with a comms gig there. We'll do a little double plug here. Well, hopefully, next season, it's my first race on my real race calendar in the Civic Cup, and hopefully, you might get the gig doing the core comms there with Civic Cup. So let's see how that goes.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll see how that plays out. But I think everybody will be really excited to hear how you're getting on, Dave, to be honest, in the Civic Cup. It's going to be an interesting little 5 minutes that we have at the beginning of every broadcast on VRRC, is reminiscing about how your weekend goes. And hopefully, I'm sure more will go well than wrong. But, you know, you never know. It's motorsport, isn't it?
Yeah, you might hear us crying commentary, actually. So we might.
Yeah, you never know. Either way, we'll get the views. We'll be able to bring that clickbait in. So it'll be fine. No, it's hopefully, as you said, some visits to Cadwell Park will be much needed. But Civic Cup, I suppose you're a front-wheel drive specialist anyway. Really, well, you're a rally specialist, but a front-wheel drive, obviously, mini E-Series winner, and obviously you're pretty handy on the Clio Cups or anything else that gets thrown at you. The Civic Cups, do they handle in a similar manner to these Clios, or is there any sort of big differences?
No, they're pretty similar, to be fair. Obviously, they use a H-pattern box instead of a paddle shift, so that's maybe a little bit easier. It's a bit like Ginetta, if I'm honest. It's, you know, you've got the likes of the Junior, and Paul Laramie just about getting that stop there. Good effort. That was some driving that was by Paul Laramie to get that stop into that second right corner. Yeah, so the Ginettas, you've got the Juniors, and you might be able to correct me, Jack, the G40s, which I believe is about 150 brake, or 180 brake with sequential. I do actually think, personally, the GDRC car is a better test of a driver because, first of all, you're on tyres with not quite as much grip, but also it's a H-pattern box. So a driver who can drive one of them well in the wet, I would actually probably say is learning more about car control than a driver who's driving a sequential. Or there's a battle here. Robin Walters back past Kyle Felvus. Sorry, we'll get back to that point in a bit, Jack. That might have happened, I guess, go down into that left-hander in the bottom after that fast right-left as you drop down, because Kyle Felvus was up a bit rusty through that section. Each lap we saw him running a little bit wide, and it seems like that's where Robin might have got the edge on him. So Robin Walters back into P2, and I tell you what, just when we thought there was a bit of a gap starting to appear for second and third, this championship battle is back reignited, and I tell you what, Robin back up into P2, and actually Brad Smith with another moment down there in P10, dropping back past Kenny Press. And actually, I've got to remember, he did say his loft was particularly chilly, and I imagine his arms and toes are about frozen solid.
I was going to say, for Brad Smith to actually bring your prediction to truth, in the fact that he'll win that reverse grid, he'll have to be a lot tidier than he has been in this race. Carl Felvus looking at the inside, absolutely sending it. This is a move we saw time and time again in the Audi TTs, and I think he's just about got it held on as well. A little bit of an assistance from the outside curb there as well, but Carl Felvus just rubbing his way past, and I'm sure Robin Walters can't have too many sort of complaints about that one, really. It seemed about as clean as you can get here at Cadwell.
Yeah, that to me there was a clean, good move. For me, it was more of a case of, yet again, Robin just not quite defending enough as what he needs to. We need to see a little bit more aggression. Not actually aggression, just slightly better car placement in that defend area. He's just making it a little bit too easy for Kyle Felvus to get that overlap and get a possible move in them braking zones. You can see both drivers here got very, very similar speed. Kyle Felvus looks a little bit more ragged and on the edge of the car, but both drivers doing very similar lap times and both providing an absolute spectacle here in race one.
So, it goes back to the old calculations that Tom O'Farrell sent to us originally. Taylor will still be on 195 points, because obviously he's leading. Although, I think if he gets the fastest lap, which he currently holds a 37.4, that means he'll actually have 196 points, I believe. Carl Felvus will have 173.
Oh,
Robin
wide.
Walters. Oh, that is very wide, isn't it? As I was reading off my iPad. Robin Walters will be 6 behind, not 10. So that is the sort of big difference, really. This one place counts for about 4 points. And Carl Felvus, after running wide and getting a poor run up the hill, will be fully aware of the opportunities up his inside as he exploited them on Robin Walters the lap before. Robin couldn't manage to exploit it this time round, but he's trying to push as hard as he can around the outside, maybe trying to force Kyle into a wide cutback situation. I'm not sure. No, Robin just decides that he's going to mellow it out with 2.5 minutes left. He's going to have probably a lap or maybe 2 to go.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I can't quite decide which way this is going to go. Both drivers are pushing the limits of absolutely what they've got. And I tell you what, it's going back and forward. Robin there, that close to the back, I imagine it was probably quite hard for him to actually spot that apex. The same as going up into this mountain section here. This is where the lead driver will have the advantage. It is very, very blind if you're too close to the driver in front. So Robin is actually doing a great job here to hang on to the back. You can see Kyle getting a little bit more air, and he almost gets that little flick going on into that second to last corner, and you can see that's just opened him up about 1.5 car length there. So that agility that I was on about at the start of the session, maybe run his brake bias a little further back than Robin Walters, this is exactly what can generate that little bit extra speed. In saying that, we have seen a few mistakes from Kyle Felvus, and is that also brake bias related? So you've got to have a nice balance as he runs wide again. Look, going through turn 2, you don't want to be playing that card too many times there, Kyle. That gets risky. Obviously, a tight and right-hander. If you end up on that grass and the track starts to go away from you, you will have a super hard job getting back on that track, a bit like Thruxton.
Yeah, you said that we've seen a few mistakes from Kyle, in my opinion, a few too many, to be honest. He's not really shown the sort of consistency that we used to see as Robin Walters goes wide and pretty much takes him off the hook there, I think, because Kyle was running a little bit ragged and almost appeared as if Robin was in his head a little bit as he's running even wider now. And I understand that the tyres are going off, and obviously then they get dirt on them and whatnot, but realistically, both of these drivers seem to be struggling with Cadwell, which is something we can't say for our race leader, who I think will start one more lap. This will be the penultimate lap.
That's wide.
As Kyle goes very wide, and Robin forces the issue now. You said you wanted to see a bit more aggression from him, Dave. You may well see it now as they go side by side down into the tight, twisty complex of Sector 3. Kyle still holds on to the lead, though.
Yeah, I don't think we saw it. We didn't see him hold his nose where it needed to be to try and defend that. There is enough room for 2 cars there, and if he had been squeezed by Kyle there, he had the advantage because he could have cut the track and rejoined safely. So it's moments like that there, you need to think on the spot whether you've got the upper hand if there's collision. And at that moment in time, he definitely did, and he needed to keep his nose in front there with that aggression to make sure he's got a chance of bringing home a P2. At the moment, he's gave Kyle yet again another card of play there. Kyle now back with the advantage, and Robin is going to have to do it all again and hope that Kyle has another moment to give him another chance.
Yeah, the thing is, though, with Nicky
Taylor...
Carl's allowed him to go... he's gone wide himself, and Robbins went for that opportunistic look up the inside, and fair play to him. He's got that move done. I was about to say Nicky Taylor will be hoping Robin Walters gets past, because you can all but give him the trophy now, to be honest. Carl Felvus is pretty much the only driver that could catch him, and if he finishes like this, then realistically, Nicky Taylor, he'd have to disconnect from the server, and Carl Felvus would have to win the race and get fastest lap to have any chance of trying to beat him. So this could be a title-deciding move, to be honest, from Robin Walters on Felvus. Nicky Taylor's pushed really well through the entirety of the race, but as Robin Walters runs a little bit wide, it's allowed Felvus to just have a little look of the inside, but it's not as much of a run as Walters had in the previous lap. And look at how they're nose to tail. I think Felvus is looking at the inside here, and he is trying to pry a gap open. It's almost like Knock Hill going down the hill as they try and go through the final couple of corners safely. Then Nicky Taylor has taken the race victory, but of course we've got to keep an eye on this second place battle between Robin Walters and Carl Felvus as they come across the line. It's a flash of the lights by Felvus, who got a good run, but I think it was just about Robin Walters. Although
yeah.
on my timing tower on my browser, it says differently to what's on the screen. That's pretty impossible to know, Dave.
Yeah, so that was by 0.075 of a second to Robin Walters. Robin Walters gets P2 over Kyle Felvus. Only just, but what fantastic racing that was. That, I've got to admit, the start of the academy would have been a bit like, hope this is not collision here, but that there is exactly how close racing can be while being clean, and that is exactly why we have drivers participating in our championships.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it all bars sort of pulls up the championship for Nicky Taylor, but we'll have to confirm it in the next race, really, make sure it's all solidified. Robin Walters takes that second place. Sorry, did you say Carl Felvus took that second place?
No, Robin Walters.
It was Robin Walters. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Zanatechi in fourth, and Mick Sutton in fifth. John Jones is sixth, Paul Lamy seventh, Simon Thorpe in eighth with Brad Smith in ninth in the end, with Kenny Press will be starting on the front row with Brad Smith, but Press will be on pole for race number 2. So, Dave, we've got a few very happy, I imagine, well, one very happy individual who obviously won the race to have a chat to, and 2 drivers that will probably be sweating more than anything.
Yeah, I imagine they will still have a smile on their face. We'll go down our P3 finisher by about a bumper. Kyle Felvus, brilliant race out there, fantastically close, maybe not as consistent as what you would want to be racing, but I tell you what a battle that was with Robin, and it must be fantastic to know you can race as close and as wheel to wheel as you are while having trust in the other driver.
Yeah, I absolutely love racing with Robin. It's brilliant, and yeah, I don't know why I wasn't so consistent. My wheel seems to be wobbling a lot, like the rim on the thing, but that won't be it. I just didn't seem to be able to keep it on the track, and then Robin took advantage of that and then defended into the last couple of corners really well and just took it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, it was a fantastic race to watch on screen. I was saying to Nicky Taylor actually at the end of qualifying when he took a pole, I said Cadwell Park for me is one of them tracks where once you get out in clean air, you get in the flow of the track. It's very easy to find your momentum, find your feet. If you're racing and you end off offline in certain places, it can be really, really hard to get back into it. Is that what we maybe saw a little bit of?
I mean, yeah, I think being next to another car for nearly the whole race, it sort of plays in your mind a little. But yeah, I don't know, I think I need to adjust a few things on the tyre pressures because it didn't seem right, and I think maybe next race I can be a bit more consistent, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, we'll let you get your head down. The battle for second and third in this championship is absolutely on fire at the moment. So good luck going into race 3. And we'll have a quick chat with our P2 driver, Robin Walters. I'm going to say the same. Must have a smile on your face. Fantastic racing out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think thanks to Kyle for another good race. He always races hard but fair, so always enjoyable. But yeah, I think it's one of those. It was one of those races where it starts to enter your head about trying to work together with Kyle at that point to try and catch Nicky. But to be fair, in and out of my mind within seconds because Nicky was way too quick today. So no point in even trying to work together to catch him. So I just thought the battle is for second, and it was a good one.
Yeah, well, the battle for second surely continues going into the championship. I believe it's 5 points, I think, now between you and Cal. So this reverse grid race is putting it all on the line. Let's see what you've got, Robin, and fantastic result there in race 1.
Thanks, Dave.
I'll move forward on our P1 finisher, and I'm not saying job's done yet, but isn't far off. Nicky and Si, relieve yourself of the stress of possibly winning the championship and really just go and enjoy this race too.
Mate, I'm borderline tears. The double champion is essentially already done, so that's just amazing in itself. I'm kind of lost for words. Just got out in the lead and then managed to somehow get a jump on Kyle at the start for the first time in the whole academy. Been waiting a long time for that. So luckily enough I did it in the last race, and then just constantly lapping the 37s. So but well, I'm just lost for words.
Fantastic result, and I tell you what, I'll let you go and do race 2. Think of a few words for comeback, and we'll have an interview with you after race 2. After let's see how you get on getting through the grid for this race 2 reverse grid.
Oh, cheers. I'll try and stay out of Kyle and Robin's way of avoiding their battles. So
Yeah, that's going to be quite a battle.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I might even be able to win this one, but I'm just over the moon and lost for words. So thanks for the whole season, and let's try and end it well on the last race.
Well, with a minute to go, I'll let you go and get your head down. Congratulations, Nicky, and we'll speak to you after the race.
Cheers.
And there we go. It just shows just a release of that emotion, isn't it? These drivers, they're thinking about the championship, driving as hard as they possibly can. And when it actually starts to hit home, that they've done it, it's almost a bit of an overwhelming just head rush of not really knowing then what to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, you sort of have that adrenaline dump as well, don't you? You sort of, as you said, you don't really know what to do, what to say, and you want to keep going, but it's sort of almost like, well, I don't want to get in anybody's way, and you sort of might lose concentration. And some of the best drivers who just are in it to love race, and they love racing, they don't really let it affect them, to be honest. They just go out there and try their hardest. But like Nicky Taylor, I think I'd be a bit more like Nicky. I'd be a bit more like, I don't want to get in the way of anybody else's potential title fight. And second place or third place, big deal, really, isn't it? It's for Carl or Robin Walters. Just because they can't catch the top dog doesn't mean that there's not a bone to chew, sort of thing. So you really want to make sure that you actually keep it out of everybody's way, and those people can focus on what's going to happen, and it's about to happen in front of us, because the engine notes are rising and the lights are coming on, and this means for the final time in the Academy of VRRC, Clio Cup at Cadwell, we are racing, and it's an aggressive move across by what I think was mixed. I'm not sure who that was, actually. In the end, it's a very aggressive move, and there's already drivers on the outside, one of which is Carl Felvus. John Jones in third place, with Brad Smith up into first ahead of Kenny Press. Carl Felvus getting past Paul Laramie already, and he's already dropped his his rival, Robin Walters, who's still lumbering down in 10th position. Paul Zanetecchi's lost out to Mick Sutton. Nicky Taylor's already up to 7th. A lot of moving about. And unfortunately for Robin Walters, who has just moved up to 8th place, not as much movement as he was hoping.
Yeah, nowhere near as much movement. But the driver who has had movement is this guy here, Kyle Felvus, on an absolute mission here. Oy. But this is going to be a little bit wide. It's always a bit nip and tuck there, going 2x2 on the outside. It is a very risky thing. But Kyle Felvus is very right to do what he's doing here. This is the time when to pounce. He knows Robin Walters just hasn't got the good start. He's a long way back on the grid. And I tell you what, he has a huge advantage here to really get some considerable points over Robin. As you can see, I believe, is that Simon Thorpe?
He's going Forza Horizon here. He's given up on a set of course, hasn't he? He's decided, you know what, I'm off to Mexico. See you later.
Yeah, I mean, that was quite an achievement to try and get stuck on the barrier as it rejoins. Robin Walters here, as you can see, really struggling to get the momentum and get through this pack like Kyle Felvus did. And only put that down to Felvus must have had an absolute stonking start.
Well, when doesn't he, to be honest, in these Clios? It's
race 1, actually.
Well, yeah, very true. So, yeah, what we're looking at now is Brad Smith and Nicky Taylor Kenny Press about to swap positions. I'm so used to Nicky Taylor being right at the front of the field. Carl Felvus, actually, I thought that was Brad Smith. They both had the same car, which means Carl Felvus already up to 2nd position. Nicky Taylor, trying to keep out of everybody's way, is currently in the 6th place. And just sort of branching our mind back to that Carl Felvus and John Jones incident, I think John does need to just rein it in just a touch. What we don't want to see is anybody obviously having a little bit too much meat in the gravy, shall we say, on this final lap. This final race of the season. No need to make any enemies. There's no need to sort of push each other out of the way for sort of no real reason. So hopefully everybody keeps it nice and calm now. We're past lap 1, as looks like Robin Walters is trying to get past Mick Sutton, who is stuck behind Paul Laramie at the moment. We have had Andy Carroll join us for a last-minute entrance in this final race. We didn't see him in race 1, but he's here for race 2, and to be honest, more the merrier.
More the merrier indeed. It's nice to see Andy Carroll back. I'm sure I'll find out the reason why he wasn't here. I believe he did post something, but I didn't get a chance to read it beforehand, so maybe Tom O'Farrell can just jog my memory on the reason behind that. Might have been something to do with he was at hospital with his missus maybe, or something like that. So hopefully all is well and good in them And yeah, let's hope for a speedy recovery if anyone is feeling ill or something. I believe that's probably a Bing just saying, no, just saying Carroll joined last minute. So yeah, as we said, more the merrier. Down there, making his way back up into P10. I mean, he hasn't made an easy job, has he? He's joined right at the back of Cadwell Park. I mean, it's never going to be an easy challenge getting through a grid, but Cadwell Park proving the hardest out of anywhere, I would say. Robin Walters still down there in P7. Meanwhile, Felvus up in P2. What a drive by him so far.
Yeah, he's really staking the claim, and the second place will definitely be his if it carries on. But of course, I don't think there's any way that they can catch Nicky Taylor, who we will have a chat to once he's composed himself after this second race, which hopefully goes and is enjoyable as well. As we're looking further back, there's a huge hit up the backside. I think that was Mick Sutton who goes through on Andy Carroll. I think it was on Paul Zanatachi, who unfortunately just doesn't seem to have the grips. He's never really got to the grips with these Clio Cup cars. He's very quick in the Super Touring, but here in the Clios, he's sort of languishing somewhat compared to what we're used to seeing him about. Mick Sutton runs wide, and so does Nicky Taylor, coming out down the hill and running a touch wide, as we mentioned before. Only one more place to catch before he's onto the podium yet again, and to be honest, he's been quicker than Kenny Press all evening. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets up to that third place.
Yeah, I mean, there's still 15 minutes left of this race. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Nicky Taylor to put an absolute stonker performance in and start to worry the likes of Brad Smith and Kyle Felvus again. A very, very strong performance last race out. Andy Carroll here, P10. You can see just going to take this jump. Look at the air he gets going over there. You can see Mick Sutton and Zanatachi here just tripping themselves over slightly, and this is what's bringing Carroll right into this picture. Carroll's going to get a good exit from here and good momentum down towards turn 1. So Carroll on a very, very strong pace indeed here. Robin Walters still there in P6, not getting past John Jones. He's right next to him though, not too far away at all. Nicky Taylor is battling hard. In fact, Nicky Taylor has got past Kenny Press just as I said that. So that now, Nicky Taylor clear, that's the gap there on screen. Kyle Felvus just heading towards the braking zone now. Nicky Taylor is about there now. So you can see what the gap there is like. I don't think that's too far from. I think Nicky Taylor's got a chance here of when he's, he's not thinking about the championship now. He's just absolutely gunning it. He's in a position now where he can do some serious damage.
Robin Walters has the fastest lap of the race so far by 0.4 of a second, better than Kyle Felvus and Nicky Taylor. So 38.4 is a full second away from what we saw fastest lap-wise in race number 1. Obviously set by Nicky Taylor. But still, good showing. And to be honest, if they keep falling over each other for the next 13 minutes, that fastest lap may well stand. And Robin Walters, if he gets himself up the order, and let's say Kyle Felvus gets held up a little bit by Brad Smith and Nicky Taylor, we could be seeing a swing in the championship. But right now, it looks like Nicky Taylor properly being confirmed as a champion elect, and then Kyle Felvus is second, and then Robin Walters in third. But as we said, the gap does close up just a touch with Robin Walters having that fastest lap.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to say this now. This is not done yet because Kyle Felvus is there. He is more than happy to stay where he is. He doesn't have to get this win, but as a racing driver, you want to get the best position you think you can get. He'll probably think he's got a little bit of a pace advantage on Brad Smith there in first place. But honestly, in this position here where you want to try and guarantee second place in the championship, he doesn't need to go for that move. Brad Smith will be defending that. Brad Smith will want that win as much as what Kyle will. So I would probably recommend Kyle just needs to sit tight, bring home second place, even if Nicky Taylor gets up behind, even let Nicky Taylor through. He needs to be thinking about championship points here, and all he has to do is finish ahead of Robin Walters. As simple as that.
Yeah, as simple as that. It's always that simple. As Robin Walters gets past. Oh my days! I was about to say he got past Kenny Press, and then who's that checking out left on? It's Paul Laramie. And Robin Walters, with an absolute send, ends up going wide. That is Paul Laramie off the circuit and Kenny Press. So lots of action, all within about 100 yards of each other. And that could be huge as Zanatachi and John Jones now get past Robin Walters yet again.
Yeah, that was almost like it was oil on the track, wasn't it?
Very close to it.
About 3 cars going off at the same time, and here's the Domino's cars, 1 and 2. Brad Smith here. This is where will we see Kyle Felvus risk it and go for the move round Brad Smith. This is only recommended if he has a clear outright speed differential on the straight, and can he go with him? Brad Smith's going to the inside. This is what I'm thinking. Brad Smith wants this win. Kyle realised that he will defend this spot, or was that Kyle Felvus flashing the lights saying, Brad, go for it? As Brad Smith goes very sideways. What a hole. That was a hell of a hole going into turn 2. We saw him have a very, very big moment. I do really remember last time out with Thruxton going into the last chicane and proving himself yet again. Very sideways. Very, very dramatic indeed. And look who's behind. Nicky Taylor. Here he comes. I reckon Nicky Taylor could be on for another win here. Let's see. 10 minutes left of this race. It is all to play for. Robin Walters, unfortunately, I think is a little bit out the picture now.
Yeah, I think he will be. But yeah, brilliant car control by Brad Smith, and Carl Felvus obviously pulling a really strong win. You got pizzas to deliver. You can't let him go cold, really, and you got to get it pushing all the way, haven't you? But Nicky Taylor, obviously not. I think he's one of the competitors. Papa John's has come in to have a go here and upset the apple cart. And look at that, Nicky Taylor with a fantastic amount of overspeed. I think we'll just about have this move done. They are rubbing. Carl Felvus doesn't need this. Nicky Taylor doesn't really care if that happens or not, I don't think, because obviously he is a champion in essence. Carl Felvus shaking off the attack of Nicky Taylor, but I think that's more of a characteristic of Cadwell Park more than anything else, Dave. Unfortunately, overtaking is difficult, and sometimes there's not room for 2 cars.
Yeah, so that to me is very much a case of, you know, you've got Cadwell Park, it's a very tight track, and there's only certain corners that are realistically overtaking corners. And I can tell you now, that left-hander going into there is not an overtaking corner. It is very, very tight. You lose all your momentum for the hill section. It's just always going to be a pinch point. So that was a very, very brave move, but that was a case of 2 drivers going in. They've both got ample racing respect for each other. Neither of them will have wanted to have any sort of contact. It's just there is not room for 2 cars in that place, and one of the drivers had to back out. Nicky Taylor's there. He's got absolutely nothing to lose there. So he thought, you know what, I'm going to keep my car there. Kyle Felvus didn't really need to battle it that hard and should have probably backed out of that. Just took him behind Nicky Taylor and guaranteed it. As it happens, Nicky Taylor ended up spinning out, losing the back end. Felvus cut across the grass just to keep control of the car. That was absolutely fine. But what it did do is give Brad Smith another 2 minutes of absolute clear breathing room there.
Yeah, well, realistically, you could argue that probably neither of them really needed to make that move or make that fight as hard as it was. Nicky Taylor obviously doesn't have anything to fight for. Carl Felvus has an awful lot to fight for, but not specifically with Nicky Taylor. But then again, races are races at the end of the day. You got drivers out there on track, they want to win races, don't they? So Robin Walters making a pretty easy meal of Paul Zanetechi, after Zanetechi making those massive mistakes through the left-right chicane. It is very difficult here at Cadwell. I mean, I'm watching this and I'm seeing inspiration from all kinds of areas of different racetracks from up and down the country, to be honest. As we went through the area where Zanetechi just went a little bit wide there, it's almost as John Jones goes off the circuit, I am reminded of a little bit of the Brundle and Nelson under the hill section at Snetterton. It's a very, very tight left-right, and you have to sort of keep braking through all of it, to be honest. It's a little bit tricky. And as we go to the top section here, it reminds me of Gladdy-Gore, which is GYG in North Wales. It's a go-karting track, to be honest. Yeah, I know. It's a bit odd like that, and it carries on as you go down and into Sector 2, down the hill through the right-left, which you see a lot of people flying off wide at. It sort of carries on in very Gladdy-Gore-esque fashion. So, yeah, the lovely little track, though, it has to be said. This is the section I'm talking about. As you go back down, you sort of go through a right-hander, you go through this sort of left, and as you come back down the hill, there's an overtaking opportunity, but as always, it looks easier than it actually is as you dive into the left-hand side, and it's exactly like Gladdy-Gore, to be honest. Anyway, that's just me noticing these things. It is quite good to see, though, that we are reigniting a race lead battle here between Brad Smith and Carl Felvus. Nicky Taylor will be probably watching this thinking, am I going to get stuck in as I was last time? Is it worth it? Shall I just chill here for 7 minutes? We'll see what happens.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
Yeah,
Nicky
not a
Taylor
chance. He's got fastest lap as well, hasn't he?
Nicky Taylor is all day going for this win. And I tell you what, in this scenario here, if I was Brad, you know, he hasn't got quite the speed in the car. You can see Kyle Felvus is caught back up, but this is a chance. If Brad realises that, he can use that to his advantage. He can use that to pull Kyle Felvus back into Nicky Taylor slightly, let them two battle, and hopefully give him that safety buffer again. You can see that has taken from 10 minutes to now nearly 6. So that's 4 minutes of racing because Nicky Taylor and Kyle Felvus got involved with each other. That's as simple as it is. This is racing. You don't need to be the fastest car on the grid. You just sometimes need to use your head.
Joe Russell on the YouTube chat has come in saying, "Go on, Carl, I want a car balloting kit." So, come on, Carl, you've got a bit of pressure on your back now.
Unreal.
But it is applying the pressure, to be fair, to Brad Smith, isn't it? And an interesting stat that Tom has just brought up to our attention is the fact that if Kyle Felvus gets past Brad Smith and Nicky Taylor doesn't obviously get through the two of them, then Kyle Felvus and Nicky Taylor will actually have the same amount of wins in this Clio Cup Championship. So just goes to show really how tight it could have been. I think it was last week at Thruxton that Kyle Felvus had a bit of a mare, to be honest. Yeah. And it just didn't really fall his way. But what could have been, really, consistency is key in racing. And unfortunately for Kyle, Nicky has been pretty untouchable in that respect. As Kyle goes a little bit snappy through the left. And here comes Nicky Taylor as a move across. Not under braking, and he hasn't moved more than once, so it's okay for now. But Nicky Taylor has seen an opportunity. He's seen a weakness as he goes on two wheels, very motorcycle-esque, dipping through the right hand of the penultimate corner. Kyle Felvus is not impenetrable here.
No, that there is definitely not the time when you want to be losing the back end a bit. If he'd gone at the barrier there, look who's in 4th place. Robin Walters has managed to get himself up into P4. If there's any sort of collision here between Nicky Taylor and Felvus, as there was nearly a move there, and actually Felvus is going to run wide into turn 1. He's going to have a bit of dirt on the tyres, and this is Brad Smith. I'll be looking at his mirrors and absolutely licking his lips at this. This is absolutely what Brad needed to keep this. I tell you what, I'm not calling it now, but I did say Brad Smith could be contender.
I was looking at Kyle Felvus then. As he came back on, I sort of realised he's trying to get rid of the dirt on the tyres with a little bit of weaving, man. He started just touching the brake pedal as well. And this isn't real life racing. There's no bleeding of the brake pedal as you get, or pumping the brake pedal. There's no gas in the brake pumps or whatever they're called. I've got out of my head now. But that is a very much a tactic, isn't it? To say to Nicky Taylor, I might brake check you here almost, back off sort of thing.
Yeah, whether that was brake pedal or whether it was flashing the lights, because flashing the lights obviously bring the same thing. You're right. Kyle Felvus just looks a little bit nervous on that left hand. I'm a little bit worried about that. He's pushing very, very hard indeed. 3 minutes left of this race. He takes a lot of curb there. Nicky Taylor is all over the back of Kyle now.
Brad Smith's gone wide.
Brad Smith has gone wide. That slowed Brad Smith down. Kyle Felvus is now looking in front and behind. This is now a proper battle where McDonald's is changing both McDonald's.
Hey, there we go.
Both Domino's, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say nearly there, but still, you're absolutely right. It wasn't the brakes. It was the flashing lights. So apologies about that. You can tell I'm not very well as Brad Smith. Again, just looked like he was maybe sort of running a touch wide there. We'll have a better look at it as we see the shadow. He is running wider than the two in front. But at the moment, as I said, Kyle Felvus is not able to take advantage. But you can see Nicky Taylor getting ever bigger in the rear view mirrors as we're going up to the top of the hill. Another good overtaking opportunity on the inside and the outside. Nicky Taylor going for that outside move, and almost Kyle Felvus being held up there by Brad Smith. If Brad Smith was smarter about that, Dave, he could have slammed the brakes on a little bit more on the apex. And Carl could have been held up, and Nicky maybe could have gone too wide. And then Brad Smith probably would have gone away with the fairies somewhat. He probably would have got a second advantage. As Carl runs off the circuit, he comes back on, and is there going to be a hit? There is a hit between himself and Brad Smith, but nothing comes of it apart from Nicky Taylor going through. And to be honest, that could have been a lot worse. But what could be a lot worse? 2 minutes, 10 seconds to go, and this man on your screen is catching Robin Walters. He probably can't quite see the action ahead, but he'll be very aware of it, looking at the relative as Kyle Felvus goes up the inside of Nicky Taylor. Yet again, this is where Robin Walters tried to overtake him before, and Kyle Felvus has managed to make it stick. He's done what Robin couldn't do in the previous races. Brad Smith dives into the penultimate corner. Brad is surviving everything, but only because these second and third place drivers are falling over each other.
I tell you what, I'm barely speaking. My heart is in my mouth at the moment. This is ridiculous racing here at the moment. Incredibly clean, but it's so close to going wrong at any instant. And as he said, Robin Walters' last lap, a 38.2. All three drivers in front are 141. So they are lapping 3 seconds slower than what Robin did last lap alone. So this is really dangerous of a scenario, but Robin will be looking at this. A minute and 10 left of this race. Look at this three-way pack. Unreal racing.
Yeah, as Tom has just noted. Oh, here goes a move on Brad Smith by Carl Felvus, and my voice can't take it. Brad Smith runs wide and somehow is still going to have the lead of this race. It's Nicky Taylor and Carl Felvus get a nudge. Here comes Robin Walters. This is the final minute of the final race of the final championship here in the Academy, powered by VRRC. And doesn't it just sum it up? Brilliant racing between a multitude of drivers, championship places up for grabs, fantastic cars, brilliant track. Oh my days, Dave, we're going to have to bring this back.
I think this will be the last lap. I think 26 seconds left. I think there's more left of the track than that. So this, I'm going to call it, will be the last lap. I hope I'm right by saying this. Can Brad Smith hold on for the win? Can Carl Felvus keep himself out of trouble? Look where Robin Walters is.
Oh.
This is getting a bit nip and tuck, boys. Nicky Taylor there in P3. I think he'd be reasonably happy with just holding position here. I think this is going to be Brad Smith for the win. Carl Felvus in P2, meaning he's P2 in the championship. Robin Walters bringing up the back in P4. What racing that was, boys. Absolutely mega stuff.
I can't imagine. I mean, just get your head around this, Dave. There are people out there who would rather watch strictly It Takes Two right now than this. And I just don't understand it. It's been absolutely sensational, hasn't it, really? As I said, that last, 10 minutes, 8 minutes, 6 minutes, or whatever you want, pretty much the entire race, sums up Academy VRRC like nothing else. And we haven't confirmed necessarily of what Academy is maybe turning into the next time we see it in the new year. But to be honest, it needs to be something similar to what it is right now, because it's just been amazing. A lot of what we've seen here today, and obviously throughout the previous 3 championships, 6 rounds in each championship, it's been higher quality or more entertaining racing, probably higher quality racing, than a lot of what we saw in, say, the League of Champions between drivers who are supposedly leagues above these guys. Yeah, there is a racing respect, the etiquette, the improvement has just been off the charts. So a huge well done to everyone involved, and a massive well done, it has to be said, to Nicky Taylor, who's obviously ended up winning this championship. Pretty unarguable anymore, to be honest. He's driven brilliantly, consistently, and has just come out time and time again as one of the top contenders here, and obviously takes home a championship. But well done to Carl Felvus and Robin Walters as well for that second and third. Dave, you can have a chat to all of them now. Brad Smith, obviously, with a huge win as well. Can't wait to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, so first of all, we'll go a little bit backwards here. P4 driver, but also bringing it home, 3rd place in the overall championship for the Clio Cup. I tell you what, Robin Walters, you must have been thinking that nearly came back to you there at the end. What a race that was.
Yeah, it was actually. I wasn't expecting to be talking to you because I finished 4th, so I've got nothing prepared.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, you brought it on P3 in the overall championship. It just shows consistency is absolutely key. You know, you've put in a solid effort all through the championship and have really gelled with this car and looked like a very, very serious contender for taking the win in the first few rounds. Little mishaps here and there, and unfortunately a little bit of bad luck. I mean, you've got to be still very, very happy with a top 3 finish overall.
Exactly. Yeah, I think overall I am pretty happy with 3rd place. I think Nicky and Kyle are both obviously very quick, very hard racers. I've sort of over the years been maybe a little bit soft. So it was the Academy's been really good to sort of race really close with a couple of young, aggressive drivers to toughen me up a little bit almost. So I found the Academy invaluable, to be fair, even though I'm a bit of an old hand. I'm really, really pleased with 3rd overall, to be fair.
Well, there's plenty of life in the old dog yet, Robin. We're looking forward to seeing how you get on in future races with us. And I tell you what, with that sort of driving that you put on tonight, there's definitely a championship in it for you. So good race.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Dave.
I wouldn't have said Robin's an old dog. I've met him. He's a young whippersnapper.
I've been racing long enough. And we'll move forward onto our P3 driver. I tell you what, Nicky Taylor, you were biting at the chop there. That was I bet you could smell a victory.
Oh, I knew how much quicker I was. That's the thing. Like, my fastest lap was a 37.5, so I knew I had the pace to like be at the front. And even when I got knocked off, just kept coming back. But yeah, the rejoin from Kyle was obviously he didn't have much room to go anywhere. So at the end of the day, that was what it was. The little contact with Brad, but I think me just trying to keep it home in third and not try and send anyone was the key to that. And the championship is just the icing on the cake. So now I've got to figure out what I want to do next.
I was going to say you didn't have many words after race 1, but obviously race 2, it has absolutely confirmed you are champion of the Clio Cup Academy here, proving yourself that not only consistency is key, but bringing home the most wins as well in the championship. What a result, Nicky.
I mean, I'm still a bit amazed with it, to be fair, because after the first round at Brands, I thought, I'm not going to do very well in these Clios, because coming away from Brands, got 7th, and then, just chipped away at it, managed to finally realise what to do, like to get the car to rotate and stuff, so yeah, really good, really fun championship, and as I say, now moving up to gold from last week, gotta figure out what championship to go in.
Well, I'm sure we're pointing in the right direction there, Nicky, and looking forward to seeing what you can bring to the table next time.
Thanks very much all season, guys.
We move forward on our P2 driver, and I tell you what, I don't know if I've got any nails left. Kyle Felvus, not probably the second race as easy as what you would have liked to have been, but you made one hell of a start getting through the grid, but just the last block just couldn't get over that hurdle.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, you say it wasn't easy in the second race, but I wanted Brad to win. I wanted him to get his first race win of the season. So you probably couldn't tell it, but those flashes of the lights, that was saying sort of go. And then when Nicky came, I just tried to hold him up as much as I could so Brad could win. I just really, because I knew that I could get second in the championship if I was where I was. So.
Well, I tell you what, fair play, but you were risking it out there for your P2 in the championship by doing what you did. Nicky was obviously very determined to try and get as good of a result as he could get. The racing between you and Brad, though, it was phenomenally close at times without any contact. And I tell you what, you had a very, very big moment, I don't know whether you can recall it, with the left-hander just before the uphill. A big snap of oversteer, nearly put it into the wall on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I do remember. But that corner, that always happens. There seems to be a little bump on it that just sends you round. But yeah, and then sorry to Nicky for the rejoin coming down the hill. But like he said, there was nowhere I could really go, and I had dirt on the tyres, so I couldn't really brake that well either. But luckily, it didn't really cause many major incidents.
Well, huge congratulations on taking a P2 finish, but not only P2 in the overall championship as well, bringing it home just ahead of Robin Walters. What a fantastic battle it was between you and him, an absolutely fantastic race and respect, and absolutely looking forward to seeing what you can do with VRRC in the future championships.
Yeah, cheers Dave, thanks to you, Jack and Tom as well for hosting all of this, really appreciate it.
Well, a fantastic effort, and yeah, credit off to the team as well for putting this together. It has been a great championship, but I think we'll go to probably the coldest man in the interview waiting room, Brad Smith, a P1 finish, and I tell you what, I'm putting it on the line now. I said to Jack, watch Brad Smith for a race 2 win, and sure enough, there it is.
Yeah, this will really annoy Carl. That was my second win of the season, so.
Oh.
I didn't do bad for a man that's got one eye at the minute.
You didn't at all. I know you're obviously a little bit under the weather at the moment, but I tell you what racing that was. Brilliant racing respect between you and Kyle. Incredibly close racing. Ran probably one of the most difficult tracks to do it at.
Yeah, the first race, my eye was just streaming. I kept just misjudging everything. Just got it completely wrong every lap. So it was just a nightmare. And I thought, all right, I've got to get my head down. I kept clearing my eye going round.
Well, there you go. There you go, Jack. Put that in the driver excuses. I haven't heard that one there before.
The driver excuses book has doubled since we started the VRRC. It's madness, really. You guys are very inventive.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, but a fantastic race there, Brad. But as I say, like the progress that you've shown from the start of the academy, from when we first started to where you're at now, I mean, honestly, credit off to you. Fantastic progress, and really hope to see you do future stuff and bigger and better things as well. Bigger and better results.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for another amazing season. And on to the next one. Hopefully I'll get the win in the championship next time when Kyle and Nicky are out of it.
Well, maybe so indeed.
hey, Brad, now you've got a decent sim rig set up and your die-hard vest, I'm expecting more wins from you.
I'm definitely wearing my vest. Well, it's a bit too cold to wear my vest. A little bit too cold, mate, but I'll try it. Super Touring next week.
Well, fantastic effort racing from all you guys there. Jack, it's about time we sum up the end of the night and the end of the academy as well. What a fantastic season it's been.
Yeah, exactly. It's been pretty sublime, to be honest. And we've completely forgotten and neglected driver of the round. But I'm just going to go ahead and give it to the top 4 that we've just spoken to.
You know what? I was going to say to you, I don't think we can give a driver of the round for that performance. Let's give driver of the round to all 4 drivers. Phenomenal driving.
Yeah, and it's a good thing we can do that here on the academy as well, because it means that Rich doesn't have to hand out 4 valeting kits as well, because obviously they don't get anything in this one. But yeah,
I was just thinking, do I need to hand out valeting kits for that?
No, I think I'd be sacked if I gave that out to like 6 people in one race. But no, that was a great drive by all of them, and it's worked out.
A reprimand at least.
Yeah,
Jack.
exactly. Yeah, but it's worked out to what you see in front of you with Nicky Taylor on 212 points, taking that title. Carl Felvus, 10 points ahead of Robin Walters in the end in 2nd place. Robin in 3rd, obviously. Mick Sutton in 4th, quite a way off, to be honest, but obviously a good performance by him, getting ever more consistent. Paul Zanatachi, let's face it, he's quicker in the Super Tourings, and I think that's where his head is at. Otherwise, we'd have probably seen him quite a lot further up. Unfortunately, he's down in 5th for him. Brad Smith in 6th, John Jones 7th, Martin Johnson in 8th, Paul Laramie in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is Simon Thorpe. We can see a fair few other drivers as well who have joined us in the championship, all the way down to Daniel Adams and Hayden Phillips in 14th and 15th place. Dave, like you mentioned, probably about that time that we signed off, but not without promoting what else we've got going on. First of all, let's have a look at the Super Touring, because of course it's the finale of the academy, but thanks to the fact that we weren't here yesterday for Super Touring, it means that Silverstone is actually next week now, round 5, 7:30. It obviously says the 7th of the 12th. That's now changed to the 14th of the 12th. So you want to be sticking around for VRRC to catch basically most of the guys that you've seen tonight racing in the Super Touring with a whole host of other drivers as well. So very entertaining way to see off the penultimate round of that championship. And we also have a fair few other things in, Dave, as well. Of course, you're in charge of quite a lot of these, to be honest, but Dirt Rally, Assetto Corsa, Time Attack, Assetto Corsa Competizione, and Forza Horizon batting about.
Yeah, trust me, come January, we've got some really, really exciting announcements to do. So get involved, join the VRRC Discord to see what we've got coming up, because it's the place where you want to be for racing.
It absolutely is, and it's about that time that we see off the evening. But first, we will have to have a couple of sentences from our race organiser and founder of VRRC, of course. Rich, it's been a long 4 championships, but it's been some of the best racing that I've seen in the sim racing over the last 18 months, 2 years I've been doing it. You must be pretty pleased with how the VRRC's academy has opened up this time.
Yeah, Really pleased at how it's gone, to be honest with you. It was a little bit of an experiment to kind of take drivers that are either new to sim racing or ones that have been doing it a while but wanted some tips and tricks and coaching to improve. So we've done that. We've taken people and we've moved them forward, and I'm really, really proud of what everybody's done. Not only you guys doing the commentary and Tom doing the broadcasting, but Dave's been doing coaching week in, week out with the guys and been helping them out one-to-one as well. So really pleased with how it's gone. Little twist, we're gonna change it slightly for the new year, and obviously we'll announce that in the next couple of weeks, but there will still be something for everyone at VRRC.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing about those announcements, and I suppose they should probably follow your Instagram and your Facebooks and everything like that, and see all the new announcements are going to be. Yeah, it would be delightful, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be nice, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, that's all to come. Announcements are to come, of course, focusing on the Super Touring next week. If you want to subscribe or like or share or follow or whatever you want to do, basically, then you're more than welcome to. Right. It's about time we see off the evening, finally. I keep saying that, and I keep bringing up something new, but of course, I am going to do it this time. My name has been Jack Oliphant. I've been joined alongside me by Dave Marshall for the entirety of the Clio Cup and the Audi TT Academy. I will give a shout out to Ed May, who covered the first two championships of the Academy as well, instead of me. So it's been an absolute pleasure. And of course, Tom O'Farrell on the broadcast. He's basically here every single week, every single broadcast you see off VRRC. He's pushing out there at the moment, so big thanks to him as well. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you next Tuesday for more Super Touring action. I hope you've enjoyed the Academy and the Clio Cup, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of it in January. Good night.
Between the two of them. The inside of Coates.
Parker gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.
Woo!